Hey YouTube, swinger70 here, and I've been putting this video off for a while, and there's a reason. So, sometime back when I first bought Logan her pistol, we got her a 380. We were kind of getting involved in it and trying to figure it out. You know, we like to take them apart. We like to see each of their moving parts, and of course there was plenty of videos on breaking them down, field stripping them. It was the Taurus Spectrum. So we did a good review on it. Got a lot of interest, a lot of responses on that video. But there was one response I got where somebody had asked me, how do you take the firing pin out? And I said, well, I'm assuming it comes out just like any firing pin from any semi-automatic pistol. And then I experimented, because I'm not big on taking the firing pin out, but I think what got me to give it a try was that I was getting some light primer strikes, and I wanted to see if maybe, because I've been shooting different ammo, I've put reloads through it, and it was firing somewhat flawlessly the entire time. But I did start seeing that I was getting some light primer strikes, mostly on my reloads. Don't quite know why, but I'll figure that out. But even on some of the factory rounds, I was getting some light primer strikes. So I figured, all right, let me take the pin out. Maybe it got gummed up a little bit. And I did. Took the firing pin out. It took over 2 hours to figure out how to not only get it out, but to get it back in. So, because I am somewhat masochistic, I'm going to take it out for you guys now. You are not going to see any other videos on how to get this firing pin out, at least not right now. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day there'll be some more. I have yet to find one, which is why it took me so long to figure it out. It wasn't as easy as it looked. Trust me. And along the way, you'll see me struggle. But this is it. Taking out the firing pin. Stay tuned. Okay, so here's the Spectrum, my Taurus Spectrum, and it is currently unloaded. So we'll go ahead and we'll drop the mag, rack the slide, look down into the chamber, and it is unloaded. We'll set the magazine aside, and we'll start with taking off the top. You take a screwdriver. It's really quite simple. Releases that little screw here, and you can slide the slide right off. All right, so this has been cleaned and what have you, so we're gonna set that aside now. Everything so far is pretty basic. Firing pin, barrel, and then you're left with this. Now, I am going to save you guys a lot of the heartache and pain that I didn't save myself the first time, but I am going to save myself this time. I am only going to remove the firing pin. The whole firing pin block does come out. And when it does, it takes small fingers, not these sausage fingers, and a lot of patience. And usually I have that, but I didn't. I wouldn't have the patience to do it again. But I will say, when the firing pin comes out, this whole firing pin block slides out too. Or it can, but it doesn't have to. I am not going to take the firing block out. I'm going to leave the firing block in place because there are 3 springs. They're small, they're extremely easy to lose, and it's close to impossible to get them back in place to slide the firing block back in. When we get a little closer to that step, I will try and show you as best I can without taking it apart, because I'm not taking that block out. But anyway, if you take a good look, right up here, you see the end of the firing pin right up here. And it's sitting in the bottom groove of the little back door here, okay? Get a real good look at it as best we can, all right? The lighting's not great. But what you have to do is, to get this back door off, you got to take something, like I made a little pick out of an old hole punch, and you have to press down on that firing pin, and that back door slides up. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that now. Okay, when you get that pin, that door almost off, you're going to want to reach back and grab that firing pin from coming out, because it'll spring out and shoot it across the room. So here's the little door. It slid right up, and now I can ease my finger off of the spring. This is your firing pin contained inside this spring. Okay, you can see it has like a little shelf or a little catch on the back that slides into those little grooves on the door, and it stabilizes that way, and it does come out of the spring. Okay, I cleaned it and I got it working flawlessly again. No misfires, no light primer strikes. It was gooped up, okay? And that's how I solved the problem. And it was very, very difficult initially to get this out. Now, what I will show you is, like I said, I am not going to take the firing pin block out. But you see, just by me going back and forth, this piece right here slides back, and as you slide it back, the whole block will come back with it. More trouble than it's worth. Right here, there is a little catch, okay? You can press it and you can feel that it's on a spring. When you pull the firing block out, that spring drops out, and it's a little door, basically, a little metal door, and impossible to get back in. Also, up here towards the front, anyway, as you slide this back, you can see that the firing pin block comes back. I'm not even going to pull it back far, because that first spring right here, where this little detent is, will fall right out, and it'll take God knows how long to get it back in. But this is what I realized. You don't have to take this out. This will not get gooped up enough, or probably ever, okay? It's too tight in there. There's no room, there's no give. So nothing's getting down in there. However, you can take a Q-tip and you can get up in there and clean that out a little bit. But other than this spring right here that will come out when you slide this firing the firing pin block out. There's two more springs. One in the very front, up here, which interacts with this spring that the firing pin goes through. And then there's one right back here which holds this little door in place, actually, but it also it's part of the ejection, okay, of the case. But again, and I can't say this enough, there's no need to take this out. You've got your firing pin. You can clean that out. You can get inside, and you can get in there with a Q-tip, and you can clean out inside, and you will know if you're pulling out crud. And when it's clean, that should do the trick if you're experiencing those problems. Like I said, I'm not one for really taking the firing pin out of this. I did learn the hard way. I don't want to do it again because I don't want to sit here all night and put it back together. I don't even know how long it's going to take me to put this back on for you, but I'm going to try it now. Okay? Like I said, the gun has been cleaned already, but I did want to get this video out. So I'm going to slide the spring with the firing pin back in as far as it'll go, which is right about there. And I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to press it down, and you'll feel it catch into a groove right back here. Okay? So right now that spring is under tension, and it's sitting, that little back shelf is sitting inside the groove. And I'm going to hold it in there like so, and I'm going to slide the door back in. And because I have big gigantic sausage fingers, this took a while to do. And it was just as painful as the rest of the process. What I'm going to do is, I'll see if I can lay it down. Yeah. Got to be able to position it in a way to maneuver this little door. See that? It slides, it's slippery, it's difficult. You can try using a screwdriver. To get it back in place. Get it to slide in there. Maybe hold it like this. But it's not very steady. Slide the door back in. See how much trouble I'm having. I guess what's important to note is that there's little ledges on this door, right? You can see, and they correspond with little grooves, so it just slides in. But it's hard to keep the tension on the firing pin spring and try and engage those grooves, especially if you have big sausage fingers. There we go. And it snaps back in. Not fun, but it did the trick. Okay? And of course, reassembly is just like any other reassembly. I will say that although it's not horribly difficult, it is a little trying even to put this front spring in. It's not a captured guide rod, and the barrel goes side to side. So you got to kind of hold the barrel straight and get it down and hope that it's not buckling up here, so you can push the spring and get the tension on it to slide the top of the guide rod underneath the ledge here. But there it goes, back together, and in typical Spectrum style, it slides back on fairly easy, usually. There it goes. And as soon as you get the slide back, the little screw goes back in the lock position, and you're ready to go. Okay, so that is my very crude video on how to take the firing pin out of your Taurus Spectrum to clean it if you're having light primer strikes. So, with that, I will end by saying, this is S. Wenger 70. Shoot 'em straight.